everybody. It is 7:31 p.m. and it is January 23rd, a Monday. Happy new work week to everybody. Hopefully everyone's doing well today. We are going to be talking about that winter storm that is on the way across much of Indiana, Ohio, and southeastern Michigan. That's kind of the target area that it seems to be approaching at, where the biggest brunt of the snow is going to be. The one thing about this storm is that it's going to be swift, much like this scene right here. It's going to be pretty swift, but dump a lot of snow in a very short amount of time. I believe it's going to probably occur in about 24 hours, maybe a little over that if you're in parts of Indiana and Ohio, but it is going to last quite a bit. All right. So there's going to be some decent snowfall in a short amount of time. All right. About 4 to 8 inches. There's actually a winter storm watch out right now. So make sure to subscribe and stay updated, and we'll be continuing to be providing updates as the models evolve and as events occur. Things will begin to deteriorate, probably starting tomorrow night into Wednesday morning when it starts to approach southern Indiana. So that's going to be the thing to watch, and how quickly the snow falls will determine how many travel impacts are going to occur with this particular event. So it is something to watch, and we also are monitoring a severe weather potential extending from eastern Texas down to the Florida Panhandle. So that's going to be something that is rather impactful in that area as well. So let's get right to it. Let's talk about exactly what's going to be going on with this particular event. Alrighty, so here's what we have here. So this is the Weather Prediction Center's website. Again, you can see all of this information yourself on the online, okay, Weather Prediction Center. So you can see the potential for snowfall greater than 1 inch accumulation, and you can see that there's a large swath of the Great Lakes region put in this particular area. So it does appear that the main line of snow greater than 1 inches extends. If you live in Seymour, Indiana, south of Seymour, Indiana, the chance starts to decrease for even seeing 1 inch of snow. But anywhere north of that, north of Cincinnati as well, appears to have the potential of seeing some accumulating snowfall greater than 2 inches. Now, that doesn't seem like much. Correct, and you'd be right. 1 inch is not that much. But if we go to the greater than 4 inch map, you can see that that potential does focus a little bit into parts of central Indiana, northwest Ohio, southeast lower Michigan, and then parts of southern Michigan are included in that as well. So anywhere shaded in blue is a greater than 40% chance of seeing snowfall greater than 4 inches, and then anywhere in bright blue up towards red or orange, you have greater than 70% chance of seeing snow accumulations greater than 4 inches. So that's what the National Weather Service is putting out here with this particular setup. You go over here to the 6 inch totals, and it will pop up in just a second, and then you can see the chance of greater than 6 inches really focuses in that area I just showed you that was in orange previously. So places such as central Indiana, including Lafayette, Kokomo, Fort Wayne, Muncie, maybe even Indianapolis, places up towards Ann Arbor, Toledo, those areas are expected to see greater about 6 inches of snow or greater, and that is why the National Weather Service has put out a winter storm watch across parts of that general area, okay? Central Indiana, and then much of southern Ohio is including themselves in that winter storm watch. I think the reason for that is mainly because there's also going to be some ice included with this particular event. I will show those ice accumulation potentials probably as well if those do show up in the models. But what you see here is a winter storm watch, and most places are projecting 4 to 8 inches, just about 4 to 8 inches according to the winter storm watch that is associated with portions of the Great Lakes region. So you can see that on this model here. So that winter storm watch is going to be in effect tomorrow or Wednesday and into Thursday. That winter storm is likely going to be hitting. Let's take a look at it in the models and see what the models are saying for this particular event. All right, so this is the ECMWF model. Again, this is the Euro. So we're going to look at the Euro, the GFS, and then we're also going to get a comparison of what all the models are saying with regards to snow totals. And then we'll look at a blend of models to see what the blend of models says about snowfall potential. So let's look at these models real quick. You can see nationwide. This is a continental United States nationwide view. So here's the winter storm that's starting to take shape. Look, snow is reaching as far south as New Mexico, Texas. Panhandle is going to get in on some of that snow action. And then here on the eastern side, which I'm finding very interesting, you have some potential for some more severe weather. That in the form of maybe some tornadoes. You might have a tornado setup coming into shape here. In fact, you do. It looks like there could be some intense tornadoes with this event. Look at the powerful low-level wind shear that's going to be associated with this event down in southeastern Texas, Louisiana. There's going to be a very powerful tornado outbreak likely down in parts of that area. The environment is favorable for that in that area. And then on the northern edge, you do have that snow and freezing rain potential across parts of Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, and then even parts of Texas that get those thunderstorms as well. So that's going to begin to deepen. This low is going to deepen right here. You can see that being shown on these models right here, showing that tornado potential now once again with that sounding in Louisiana. So if you live in the south along the Gulf Coast, you're going to want to be watching the weather tomorrow in particular. Okay, tomorrow those really strong storms are going to really take shape, and then as you get towards parts of east of Louisiana, you're going to start to see a nocturnal tornado threat with some intense tornadoes possible with this event. But that snowstorm moving into parts of the Great Lakes region, you can see that some of purple is showing up here. That purple indicates the potential for some freezing rain. Okay, so that freezing rain could cause some travel impacts because you're going to get freezing rain, then snow on the backside, which really could influence the conditions on the roadways. You can see it quickly transitions to snow as we start to get into nightfall on Wednesday. So this is Tuesday night. Okay, Tuesday night temperatures begin to cool down, or the rain begins to transition to snow. You do have heavy snow, heavy wintry mix possible as well across parts of Ohio, Indiana. You can see how heavy it is. That dark shade of blue that is associated with it, that's going to enable a lot of snow to fall in a short period of time because this low is going to be moving rather quickly across this area. It's not really going to slow down like we saw with the blizzard that was around Christmas time, and certainly the event is not comparable to that. But you do have the light snow beginning to fall in southern Michigan by 7 a.m. Wednesday, and you can see that heavy snow on the backside that's likely going to occur. This snow boosts off to the east rather quickly, and it is showing there could be a little bit of a dry tongue getting into this portion of the low once that main line of storms gets ahead of it. So the pressure stops kind of going down at this particular point, so there is a dry tongue within that low pressure system. You can see it right there. And then you do have that snow still kind of heavy across parts of Indiana and Ohio, the snow continuing to fall across parts of Michigan, and then even snow extending in parts of the New England region as well. But that's going to lift off to the northeast continuing, and southeast lower Michigan, northwest Ohio, central Indiana still seeing that prolonged period of heavy snow. You do see the potential for some freezing rain on the backside of this as well, some freezing drizzle, and then that snow eventually lifts away off to the east. You have the low deepening as it heads in that direction, but eventually moving out of the area to where it's not as impactful. Looks like you could have some strong winds up in New England on the backside of this, and then some lagging snow showers across Indiana and Ohio once that moves through at about 1 p.m. on Thursday. It could still be snowing in parts of the area as well. So we'll keep an eye on this Alberta Clipper as it comes in over the next couple days as well. But that main storm is what we're focusing on today. So you do see the potential for heavy snow shown by the models right here moving off these. It is a rather strong low pressure system, especially with that tornado outbreak potential in the south and the snow on the northern side. You can really see the mid-latitude cyclone formation that's put in that particular place. So you get a look at the dendritic growth zone across parts of central Indiana. The altitude at where snow is forming, it's forming at about 12,000 feet to 15,000 feet. And you can look at the temperature. It's still relatively close to about, I'd say maybe in the mid-20s. Looking at the graph, can't really get a full look at that, but it looks like in the 20s. So it's going to be not the wettest snow you could possibly have, but it is going to be a form of a more heavier wet snow that moves through that area, I would believe. So moving off to the northeast, and then it moves out by Thursday morning. So Thursday morning, it looks like everyone's going to be in the clear, and then just some light snow showers sagging on the backside. All right, let's look at it in relation to the HRRR model, which we're finally just starting to get some data about what this storm could potentially do in the Great Lakes region. So let's go a bit farther in to when that storm's beginning to initiate, move into the area. So this is at about 10 p.m. Tuesday night. Then we get towards about, I would say this is 2 a.m. on Wednesday. You see the snow really starting to begin across southern Indiana, southern Ohio. So places in extreme southern Indiana, extreme southern Ohio, we'll see some snow, but not too much snow, I think, because it's likely going to transition to rain right after, which still will make for a mess on the roadways. You can really see that freezing rain starting to settle in as we see that transition. You go to get a sounding of that. It does show snow, the best guess for precip, but I do see that setup in the atmosphere where you have a warming trend in the upper levels and then it cools down. That is a freezing rain setup right there on the sounding, where the temperature is warming well above freezing at 3 kilometers above, and then as you get down towards the surface, it really starts to cool down, and it could very easily freeze in the surface. So this is a freezing rain setup. Definitely going to want to watch that if you're down in southern Indiana, and then parts of northern Kentucky, maybe even parts of southern Ohio could see that as well. That's going to lift off to the northeast. You see that heavy rain. You see the freezing rain associated with it as well. Could be some decent ice associated with this setup here. Let me move this down so everyone can see it. But lifting off, you see the low center of the low pressure starting to form in. You can see the freezing rain potential even lifts up into parts of central Ohio on the backside of this storm, and it still does show that freezing rain setup. You do see the snow formation at freezing temperatures up in this area where it begins to dry out. The dew point begins to dry out, and then you do have that trend, that warming trend where the precipitation could very easily decrease. So that's something to watch for. And then you do have that cooling trend on the backside that could lead to 32-degree temps, freezing rain potential as well. So that snow is going to move into the air, move through the area rather quickly, as I said before, and this is as far out as the run goes. So we'll have to wait for future updates with regards to what the run is going to show. But that's what the HRRR is showing. We'll get later updates on that as well. So let's continue on forward and take a look at it in relation to the GFS. This is the GFS model, so showing just a different perspective on this storm. So right here, heavy snow begins to move in at about 1 a.m. Wednesday in southern Indiana, and then starts to get into parts of the Great Lakes region by about 7 a.m. Really, the GFS is kind of portraying it to be a little bit drier than what most other models are showing, but you do have the snow pretty heavy across central Indiana, central Ohio. It does also show that freezing rain potential within that as well. The sounding here for the GFS does not really show that freezing rain setup like the GFS, but it does show a really good chance of a wintry mix, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something like that. I do see a better freezing rain scenario across this model once we get farther to the eastern side where that warm air is being pulled into the low pressure system. So similar scenario and pattern, but the GFS does shift the heavier snow band farther north than the HRRR does. I do believe the HRRR will probably verify this a little bit better than the GFS, so that will just be something to pay attention to. So that's what the models are showing here. Let's get a comparison of the snow totals here. So first of all, let's take a look at the Euro, the first model we looked at. It does show potential for 4 to 8 inches, even some isolated spots of 9 inches across parts of eastern Indiana potentially, but generally not as much snow accumulation as was expected previously. It is showing less of snow accumulation, so that's good news, but enough snow to just make it a nice little friendly winter storm. Not friendly for the travel, especially since it's so quick, but afterwards it will be kind of a nice particular thing. I just noticed my camera is not showing my shirt. I'm sorry, I set it up for a green screen previously, so just ignore that. But you do have this these snow accumulations here of possibly 6 to 9 inches in some spots across this region. Comparing it to the GFS, GFS has actually a bit more snowfall on the heavier side of things. And you do see snow accumulations of up to 10 inches in some spots of eastern Indiana as well, and then upwards in southern Michigan, 4 to 6 inches across this general area, and then even heavier snow as far south as Indiana does appear on these models as well. NAM on the heavier side, kind of doing a more broadened amount of snowfall across this area. NAMs usually can do this pretty well as well, but snow accumulations of 5 to 8 inches across a large swath of Ohio, Indiana, and southeastern Michigan, and then areas of western and lower Michigan could see 5 to 6 inches as well across the region. Farther north, not as much snow. There could be some lake effect on the backside, and the RDPS does portray that possible lake effect snow setup. I really think the lake effect snow setup won't be as strong, given that the low pressure system is moving out very quickly. We do have another low pressure system moving in a couple days later that will also contribute to some possible snow development as well. But RDPS also downplaying the snow event a little bit more, so kind of the 4 to 8 inch mark that's also being projected by the National Weather Service. Let's take a look at the total freezing rain accumulation. So let's take a look at that real quick. So it really doesn't show as much freezing rain as what the models do portray. So that is a bit different. So although the The soundings do project some warming in the upper levels of the atmosphere. It could not be enough to produce the ice that was being shown previously. So maybe not really as much of an ice event as what the models are portraying, but it does. But the one that does show the most amount of ice is the NAM model with a tenth of an inch of ice possible across parts of central Ohio. That is what's being shown by the models, but it really, with the consistency of the models, it does not appear that it's going to be a significant icing event, although it does show the potential for maybe some freezing rain in some brief shots as it moves quickly through. So not as much of an ice threat as what was previously shown on the models themselves. Let's go to the blend of models real quick and get an idea of snow accumulation on the blend of models here. Let's pause it at, let's go to the total snowfall by the end of this event. A good assessment here by the blend of models here, roughly downplaying much of the snowfall that was shown by the other models, about 5 inches, 6 inches in some spots, but really looking around 3 to 5 inches across much of this area. Some places will probably say 3 to 5 plus inches, really because the amount of snowfall, again, could change if there's like a focused area of heavy snow. So this is kind of an overall estimate from the blend of models that the National Weather Service puts together. 3 to 5 plus inches would be kind of the general assessment according to what they say. So that's pretty much all you need to know about this winter storm as it's coming up. Again, it's going to be swift moving, which means it could drop some snow rather quickly, okay? And that's going to cause travel impacts. As a reminder, if you get stuck during snow in a car, don't leave your car on, okay? Make sure that you turn it off and on, like alternate, because if you leave it on, carbon monoxide could easily get into your car, so keep that in mind. And just take the usual safety precautions as you're traveling on the roadways, and try to take it slow, nice and snow. You guys all have heard that before. So that's all for this video. All right. Hopefully the information was helpful. Be sure to subscribe, stay updated. We'll try to continue to provide more information, and if I happen to have the chance, maybe go drive out in the snow a little bit as it falls in southern Michigan. Probably will do that. Maybe find some heavier snow band to drive into and just have a look around. Just play it safe, though. Maybe help some people out if they need it. So stay safe, and I will be on at the next available opportunity.